Starlight. Oh, last time we were going to the beach. I don't know how long it's been there. It's probably been there a while and I just now noticed it.
I know Greenville, they have a license.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, better than their license. Yeah, you sure can. I've already got them pre-approved and.
Good idea.
Yeah, go for it.
Please go eat.
School, or just like normal school.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're just kind of looking at it.
Yeah, I'm just taking my shoes. Yeah.
Where you at?
I'm gonna go, well, right now I'm at JCC, and I'm gonna go to ECU in the fall.
Sorry, somehow I noticed that I was having static clean. You know about static clean? You put lotion on. And so that's where I was going. I was like, I gotta get lotion on. All of a sudden my dress is starting to stick into me. Yeah. The only one that gave you a hard time.
Yeah, yeah.
There has to be one. There's always one.
Do you need me to do anything right now?
You're gonna be reading the questions, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah, well, but other than that.
It's in Bojangles, so I'm not the only one. I don't fall over this chair. Y'all didn't see that. I don't check
What are
my,
those like little hash browns?
yeah.
Bow rounds. Oh, Terry, you're following my advice.
You gotta come over, boo.
Me?
You're not in the camera.
I'm not in the camera. Well, I am. See?
Well, I can shift it a little bit.
There we go. I'm in.
Are you gonna be letting people in food?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whose coffee is that?
April's.
You know, we have the.
She probably lost it.
I was gonna say, it does not look very fresh.
Greg's here, they're gonna be doing, the ones that brought breakfast.
Okay,
Because I keep coughing.
we can bring them up.
Okay, yeah, like, crowd today.
I like the cushion of this little corner seat. Do you need me to sit next to you?
You don't want to sit next to Blair? Blair can sit next to me.
Tracy's my OG.
I got you.
Tracy's my OG.
How's that?
With your Lisa and Greg. Oh, you have one.
Mhm.
You have one.
I like a good pen.
You like it? You like it?
Who doesn't like a good pen?
Hi, Mondo.
We just got the gender results back today. So,
You guys want to do a big reveal?
yeah, it's like a surprise. Only Ashley knows the results right now. We're doing gender reveal on Sunday, and then we're gonna do a team gender reveal on Tuesday, as long as my family keeps it. My mom's gonna have a really hard time doing that.
It's always a struggle with the parents.
My mom's like, what theme do you want? I'm like, We have to. She's like, tell me a theme 4 times. Tell me a theme. He's so excited.
I'm gonna ask first just to present it. Here I am. I'm in the class. It's all out. Sherry had some input, but she decided to take a nap.
Terry, you have so much to offer. I don't know what you're worried about. Are those your notes?
Nothing I printed off. I was finished those. I did those two for y'all do on paper.
Yeah, girl, I know. I've seen your
I make a
notebook.
list too.
No, her notebook. She has a notebook this big
Oh,
with
yeah.
everything.
I have
There's something that
spreadsheets.
works for you.
I want spreadsheets.
Yeah, I have no spreadsheet.
I'm kidding. I like numbers.
Do you want to come up
They have
and
chosen a panelist for 3 completely different people, haven't they?
Wait, that's something.
Yes, absolutely.
That's good.
you guys ready to come up and talk?
Sure. You're ready.
Yeah, you can come step over in front of us if you
I am
want.
just fine. I can stand right up here in the edge. On the
Here, I
sidelines.
Readjust that you're in the screen, so everyone that's on Zoom that didn't make it for the awesome Bojangles again. Now I even got pens. Look at that. I got a pen.
It's a very nice pen.
Yes. When you're ready.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Lisa Galanis. I'm an attorney here in Garner as well as Nightdale and Smithfield. And thank you for giving us a chance to come in and introduce ourselves today. We brought you guys a little bit of food. Sorry, Zoom folks, that you missed out on the food. There's also some nice pens and some business cards, which we'll leave a few up for people to pick up as they come through. So typically when I do this, people have questions for me that they don't ever get a chance to ask a real estate attorney when they're trying to schedule and get it closed and deal with all the drama. So does anybody have any particular questions they want me to address first?
I have one. I feel like on closing day, it can sometimes be frustrating to like get the attorney to let you know if it's recorded or not. You have to like actually go into register deeds. Do you actively let people know as soon as it's recorded?
We do. Our paralegal, we have 2 trip paralegals. Their names are Karen in Smithfield and Dana in Nightdale. And we have one who works, who's our Latino, Latin speaking paralegal in Garner. All 3 of them have as a policy, as soon as it records, it comes back to us through the program that we use called Simplifile. So unless we're recording in Brunswick County, which we have to actively go search ourselves, every time it comes back, they will send an email out to both the agents immediately because we know you've got clients waiting for keys.
That's a good question, Blair. I always feel like I'm bugging, but,
Mhm.
and I don't usually bug, but there are some that are like, they're just bugging me. And so it's like, okay, I'll ask again.
Yes, bug all you want, because we understand, even though I know sometimes, especially when the paralegals have 5 or 6 closings in a day, and it seems like she's not being super responsive. We understand this is your money. It is their new house. It is a seller's proceeds. And sometimes there's a closing coming behind for that seller. They need to know that, yes, it's recorded. Yes, we've wired their funds to the next attorney. You need to know that those checks have gone out, that you've got copies of the ALTA. What if your client needs to get their water set up in Franklin County? All of these things are moving parts and we want to make sure everybody's happy. So there is never such a thing as bugging our office. If you have a question, you call or email the paralegal and you'll get an answer.
Thank
My pleasure.
What do you feel like is the most important question to ask when you are going on a listing appointment for an estate sale?
How old is the estate? That is our first question, because if it's under 2 years and they have not run that creditor's ad, that is the thing that holds us up every single time. Now, you do not have to wait for the ad to run. You just have to get it started. But if they're handling the estate themselves and they don't know that they've got to get that ad out there, there's time involved. You've got to go ahead and get the estate open. You've got to get the ad started. Now we can get the house listed. We can still close it. The administrator is going to have to sign, and sometimes they don't recognize that they're taking on that responsibility of, hey, if you sell this piece of property and there are debts, you're going to have to use the money from this property to pay those debts down in certain cases. So the most important question to me is it less than 2 years? If it's more than 2 years, we're not worried about the creditor's ad at that point. because the time has told and no creditors can come back and ask for money anyway.
I did not know that.
I was just gonna say, I didn't realize that either. So 2 years is,
That's our
we
magic
never have
time.
to do that.
Don't have to do
Huh.
grad. Mm-mm, no.
Huh.
So if your estate's less than 2 years old, they've got to have that creditor's ad, and we've got to have a copy of that affidavit that says, yes, this ad ran. Now, I don't have to have it the day of closing, but I have to know that it's coming. Because it's got to be part of that estate file to prove that the ad actually ran. And if the administrator of the executrix pulls the ad or refuses to pay for it and it doesn't run the full time, then that opens that property up to liability. That as an attorney, I need to make sure never happens. So timing is your biggest thing with estates. And it's also who has to sign. I get a lot of phone calls from
Yes.
people. I'm doing this in the estate of Jane Smith. Now, Jane has 2 daughters and a grandson. The will says that the house goes to the grandson. Who has to sign on this listing contract? Your safest bet when we have a brand new estate, even though it's been opened, it hasn't been fully probated yet. Your safest bet on this one is have the 2 daughters and the grandson sign on the listing contract. When the time comes, we'll have worked out all the details so that we know who's gonna sign on the deed, the son, the grandson and spouse, if there is one. But in the beginning, when you don't know, always err on the side of have everybody sign it, because now we can't have any arguments down the road. And if it turns out that that will actually wasn't mom's most recent will, we found another one in a, safe deposit box, and mom left the property to the 2 daughters, we didn't get them to sign on the contract. So now we're gonna go back and scramble and get all of this stuff in place because the bank's gonna wanna see everybody's signature.
What if the grandson's a minor?
If the grandson is a minor, then you have a whole new set of issues that we're gonna have to deal with, and that may include going to court and having the court determine that a guardian needs to be named for the minor, and a GAL would then have to sign on the minor's behalf. Depends on how the will reads. If there's properties left in trust, then I know I have a trustee in the will. If the property wasn't left in trust and grandma just assumed, hey, Johnny's, 17 and a half years of age the day I do my will, and then grandma got in a car accident 3 days later, he's still 17 and a half, so we're going to have to do a determination of who can sign on his behalf, or wait 6 months. But if he's 12, we don't want to have to wait 6 years.
What if they die without a will?
If they die without a will, then the intestacy statutes in North Carolina control. So for instance, I am a married woman, but I don't have children. So if anything happens to me, everything goes to my husband. But if Greg and I die together in a car accident, then the intestacy statute controls. And it looks at who died first. He did. So therefore, everything that was his becomes mine. Now my estate, which doesn't have a will either, looks at it and says, okay, well, it would go back up to my mom and dad. Both of my parents are still alive, so my mom and dad would inherit from me. If they weren't, then my sibling would inherit from me. If I didn't have any siblings, then my niece would inherit.
And
from
your
me.
spouses, even though you died in the same car accident, his time of death was ahead of yours? Is that what you're
If
saying?
they can determine that, yes.
Then, so his family's out.
Yeah.
Wow.
No pressure for me.
That's why estate planning is important for everybody. And just a gentle reminder, if you guys have kids or have friends who have kids and they're 18, they need their financial and healthcare powers of attorney, because they may still be your babies, but the law doesn't treat them that way. So we don't worry as much about wills for 18-year-olds because they don't usually have anything that mom didn't buy them anyway. But we do want to make sure that we can step in an emergency and handle financial and healthcare decisions on their behalf. So that's our big thing we preach this time of year during graduation season, is get your kids their healthcare and financial powers of attorney in place as soon as they're 18.
Awesome.
Yes, and get a will if you don't have one, because like you said, my husband's family loses out entirely. If the accident happens and I die on the way to the hospital and he dies the next day, my family gets nothing. Everything goes to his mom and dad in Canada.
We had one that the sellers came in. Mom had passed away, owned the house. She had passed away 20+ years ago, and they'd never transferred it. They'd just been paying the taxes. So all 18 heirs had to come together, and I had to go to the Johnson County Archives and get the copy of her obituary to say who her heirs were, because there was
Yes.
no will. That was such a
Yes, that's where a good attorney with a good title abstractor comes in. Mine literally has over 50 years experience. She's about the same age as my mom. She's the best title abstractor I have ever worked with in my life. I give her stuff. She brings me back 11-page deeds. She's like, well, there was never a new map of it, so I did every out parcel since the last deed into it in 1952. But it's 100% right when she's done, so that's where good staff comes into play for the law firms.
Absolutely.
What else, guys?
Thank you so much.
Hey,
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for letting us come. And like I said, if you guys ever have a question, you need something, we're not here to take anybody's, favorite attorney away from them. Use your favorite attorneys, but when they're backed up, when you have a question that you just can't get answered there, call us. We have an office in Smithfield with one paralegal that specializes in commercial and one that's a TRID paralegal. We have the office in Nightdale, which is our primary office with a TRID paralegal, a commercial paralegal, and like I said, the world's best abstractor. And then I have a Spanish speaking paralegal in the Garner office that does a little bit of everything. So we're here if you guys need anything at all.
Where's your Smithfield office?
Smithfield is 309 South 4th Street, right beside the fire hall.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
You too.
All right. We are getting ready to get started, y'all. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Colleen's going to ask us questions. Yes, we are the panelists. And if there's questions, raise your hands.
Yeah, let me know. Jump on in with some questions.
Let's engage.
So we're gonna start with our panel, just if you could introduce yourselves, what you did before you got into real estate and how long you've been in the business.
Start left to right.
Of course. You know, I'm not sure.
I'm Terry Scott. I got into real estate back in 2005. I was originally from the East Coast, so I was working the North Carolina, South Carolina, the Myrtle Beach area. I did that up until 2009 because we crashed. And the vacation market is the last thing to start back. It's the first thing to stop and the last thing to come back to life. So in between then and 2017, when I came up here and joined April's team, I went to nursing school, got my nursing license, worked as a nurse from 2009 to 17. I started dating a custom builder from up here and we're married now, and he got me back full circle into real estate here, completely different market. So it was a lot to learn. And here I am, been with April since 17.
So any tips for the single ones out there trying to marry a builder?
That's a long story. It's all camera, it's a separate deal. Talk to me later.
It's not strategic, I promise.
I've mentioned it to my husband, he's just not buying it, I just don't understand.
Are you finished now?
I'm good, you go ahead.
I'm Tracy O'Dowd. I have been licensed since fall of 2006. April and I got our license about a month apart from each other. And I've been in practice the whole entire time. I was on April's team from, I don't even know the dates, we're just gonna say a long time. And then I left the team last fall and here I am. Before this, I have a lot of years in the restaurant business. And then I sold eyeglass frames to eye doctors. I was an optical frame rep, traveled all over the place.
I have a retail background. I went to school for nutrition and dietetics, but worked in retail all through college, did nothing with my degree. And then retail management after college, and then went into real estate. I started as a new construction rep, then did admin work for Sharon Evans, which is a large team like April's. And then after that, joined April's team. So it's been like 5 years of my license.
And for those of you that don't know you, what's your name?
Oh, Blair. Sorry.
She kind of skipped over that part. Most of you know me. I'm Timothy Neubauer. I have been in real estate just right at about 6 years. Prior to real estate, I was a veterinary technician. Not really a move over that most people would do. I would say I watched too much HGTV and I was really addicted. I always wanted to do real estate, but I was very afraid of being commission based. So I was kind of a bittersweet situation. I was in a car accident. I broke my right leg in 18 different places, titanium rod from my knee to my ankle. 4 pins and 6 months of being out of work and just sitting there crying to myself, what am I going to do? Because this is not going to be a sustainable career for me in the future. And I was like, the nurse at the hospital was like, just looking at me and she's like, stop crying, go do your real estate that you keep talking about you wanted to do. So I did it. I have not looked back. I've worked full-time every day ever since. It has been very stressful, but I absolutely love it. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful.
All right.
Can you tell us some of the things you do every day to run your business? What types of systems do you have in place? Do you time block? Tell us more about that, what that looks like.
I do time block. It's not like I can say every Monday from 10 to 11. I do anything in particular. It just depends on my day. On Tuesdays, we have office meetings. So while I'm out, if there's another appointment that I can hit while I'm out, I do that because gas is $6 a gallon. So I try to make time for follow-ups. I try to allow time for farming, but you know, in this business, we all know the phone happens, real estate happens, and sometimes you have to stop and move over to something else. And I'm okay with that. You know, I do what makes sense for my day, and I don't beat myself up if I didn't get to do something specific that was on my calendar.
I'm gonna make you elaborate just a little bit more because she is a lot more structured than she makes it sound, but Terry's always been good about saying, okay, I'm not gonna plan anything for this day. And she sits at her computer, goes through every lead, goes back to her spreadsheet, and she'll tell you that and answers the phone all day long. And so it's kind of like she sets herself up for success for the next 2 weeks, just because she focused solely on her business one solid day a week.
Yeah, I try to keep at least one day wide open, you know, no appointments, nothing like that, just so I can sit by the phone, just so I can do follow-ups, just upstairs all day doing that. So, and that helps me generate new business while I'm dealing with what I've got under contract, different things. But I am very structured in that way, is that I will absolutely keep at least one full day a week where there's nothing on my calendar, but I have that day to start putting things on my calendar with phone calls.
That's great. Time blocking is not my forte, and I self-admit that. I've tried, and I think that what did help me is at least get it on the calendar. Whether or not you are successful in following it, kind of like Terry said, you beat yourself up. You don't beat yourself up if you don't get to something. I did find it helpful that if I at least every week from this time to this time, I'm going to accomplish this. At least then it's in front of me, and I'm not sitting around going, what else am I going to do? Because I've always got something to do. It's something that's on the calendar. So I am a big fan of it, but I self-admittedly have a long ways to go to make myself disciplined enough. But as you, like Terry said, you start doing stuff and then your day gets away with you. But I am a big fan of it. I think when I do make the time and I force myself to sit at my desk and accomplish whatever it is I sat at my desk to do, I can stay there for hours and days because there's always something to do. And if you just make yourself do it, you're going to be successful.
I don't time block actively, but I feel like subconsciously I definitely have a routine. I don't know if I necessarily set aside like certain hours or time to time, whatever to do it. But I will say I start out with looking at my spreadsheet every morning, which has everything I have under contract. It has any leads I'm working with. If I went on a listing appointment, they're on there. That way I'm like prompted to say, okay, has the appraisal come in? Do I need to send anything to the lender? Do I need to send them vendors for them to approve for me to schedule something to get it listed? Basically, I list every single thing on the spreadsheet. I also have, it's for the whole year as well as like a running spreadsheet. So I have pretty much my goals in there. I have my finances in there for business. I know exactly how much I should have set aside for taxes every transaction. My spreadsheet is like my child. So I'm very religious of checking that every day. I also try to read a little bit every day, typically a business book, sometimes just like inspirational if you're just having a rough day or whatever. But I feel like I have a very much structured routine, but don't necessarily time block. But I feel like the spreadsheet is very helpful for me because it keeps you on track with your goals, keeps you on track with your transactions. Make sure like if you have a lead, let's say like April sent an email the other day of someone that's wanting to buy a house, like I have them on there. So, okay, do they need anything? Does this listing remind me of them? Do I need to send it to them? Like it just kind of prompts you to follow up, prompts you to, think of anything that needs to happen with them.
Can you dive into that just a little bit more? Sorry to hijack the mic, but because your spreadsheet is so, like, you've got a couple of Blair's a little spreadsheet, not whereas Terry's more paper and everybody has their different things. I definitely want y'all to talk about that a little bit more, but tell them specifically, especially your lead follow-up spreadsheet, what that looks like, because I think it's great.
Yeah, so I try to personalize the situation to the client. Like I know I have a lot of elderly clients and a lot of estates. I know they don't text, they hardly email. So I know for them, like I'm gonna have to call them for everything. Like if a new listing pops up, I'm gonna call them and say, hey, check your email. I know you don't check it every day. You only check it when I tell you to check it. So, look at this listing, tell me what you think. So for some people, that means like calling them every time. And if I'm really good about it, I put in there like when I last talked to them, because if a week or two has gone by and I haven't reached out to them, like obviously something's wrong and they're getting cold and I need to either figure out what's going on or, what's different. So I also, if it's like a millennial or like middle age or something where they do text, phone call, email, a lot of times I'll try to put in there like how I reached out to them, because if I'm texting them every time, like what thrives with them. So anytime I reach out to them, I also try to run a hot sheet, or I guess we don't really call them that anymore, but I run a search for our county for certain price points. I also look at HomeSpotter, like even if I'm bored and not working, I look at HomeSpotter. Let's say I have a listing in my neighborhood right now, and I know exactly what home they're looking for, the kind of home they're looking for. I search HomeSpotter almost every day, just when I'm in spare time, and say, okay, this reminds me of them, I'm gonna send it to them. It probably didn't show up in their search, or it might have, might not, just like, hey, what did you think about this one? It's just another way to like touch someone. And speaking of touching, I also do, I think it's like called the 4 5s or something like that, where you wish everyone happy birthday on Facebook, you like 5 pictures, you comment on 5 pictures. It just, social media is such an easy way to like nurture people that and it takes so little time, rather than like, I also try to pick up the phone as well, but like all of those things kind of help nurture those relationships. That way you're top of mind when they are ready to sell or buy.
I have structured chaos in my life. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't time block necessarily, but I put everything on my calendar. So if you look at my Google, you can see everything from my haircuts, appointments, anything that I'm doing is on there, so that I can go back and look and see what's going on with my life. But I try to spend a couple hours every morning doing my follow-ups, doing my routines, making sure that I am doing lead generation. So I'm really actively trying to do that. I love spreadsheets, but I'm not quite as organized as Blair.
When you do your follow-up in a CRM, so
Yes.
that's the difference.
Yes.
She doesn't follow the CRM. She'd
My
rather have
spreadsheet doesn't work
spreadsheet.
for me like yours does.
I like having both though. I do. So I have a similar spreadsheet that has all of my contacts, and like for new construction, I have the last time that I followed up with them, so that I can go back and say, oh, it's been 10 days, I need to reach out to this person. But I am very much in touch with our CRM. We use KV Core. I use it for everything, and we are always in there. I have a great accountability partner who rides me every day. I was just like, Timothy, what have you done today? And I feel bad lying to her if I didn't do something. I'm just like, I didn't do something, and then I feel bad that I didn't do anything. So I would say having an accountability partner is a very awesome thing. Find your person and have them ask you those questions. It doesn't have to be, show me what you did today. It could just be, what did you do today? And just be honest with them. And you're gonna start setting goals for yourself based on what you've had with that conversation and what you've done and what you didn't do. And sometimes it's okay to say, I didn't do anything today because you needed a mental health day. Don't feel bad about that. What was the question? Did I answer it? Okay.
So where do the majority of your leads come from? And I know, Terry, you had mentioned farming. I know some people farm. I know when I got into real estate, I had no idea what that was. So we can talk a little bit about that as well.
Well, I used to send the letters with the CMAs and that kind of thing. And I recently started ordering the postcards through Canva. You can kind of tailor it to say and look however you want it to look. So I've been using those a lot. I'm trying to be more consistent in certain subdivisions, so they keep seeing my face in the mailbox, although it probably ends up in the trash. But just having a presence in the community, letting them know that I'm close by. I try to farm subdivisions that are within just a few miles of the house. And I get a lot of business through referrals and my sphere of influence, my husband being a builder. I have been fortunate to pick up some people who were selling their house because he was building their house and that kind of thing. And like I said, past clients, I get a lot of business from past clients. And that's because I spend probably a great deal of time reaching out to them. I try to make notes as far as, you know, who my veterans are. So on Veterans Day, I can send them a little something, or I spend a lot of time focusing on, okay, where is most of my business coming from as far as past clients? I've got one that has sent me several clients. So every year, right around the holidays, usually between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'll go through the Honey Baked Ham Company and order online and have a ham and a pie delivered or something, just to say thank you. And I just, you know, you don't always have to go to that extreme. I can't send a honey baked ham 3 times a year, but you know, just staying front of mind, going a little extra because somebody's putting my name out there a lot. I mean, that's a lot of business, and you know, just to know that they're appreciated, and I take them out to dinner and things like that. So just keeping relationships going after the deal has closed, to say, if you need me in any capacity, not just to buy or sell, I'm here. You know, I had a client before that got sick with COVID, and we were in the middle of talking about things, and I'm offering to go to the pharmacy. Can I go get you some medication? I'll sit on the porch. I mean, it's going above and beyond because we've got to set ourselves apart somehow. So just a little extra touch for them, presence of being there.
Well, I've been doing this so long that when I first started, we got our leads from phone duty. That was where you had to go to the office and the phone rang, and that's when you answered it, and hopefully someone, right?
Yes.
No, does anybody besides April remember phone duty?
I-
Okay, yeah, so
so.
we all,
Still doing it till.
were you really? They still do phone duty?
Right next down the street, yes.
Wow. Wow, okay, anyway.
I'm picking on you, I'm just saying.
No, I just had no idea. I really did. I didn't realize that. Anyway, so anyway,
The phone still goes on with them on the weekends.
wow. Well, do they still, I'm just curious if you, do you mind if I ask, does the office number still get a number of calls? I'm just really curious about that. They do? Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, I, like Terry, obviously I've been in business a long time, and I do have a big sphere. I didn't when I first got my license, and I wish I had put more value into who I did know. So for anybody who's new, what I would say, the farming and all of that is great. You do need that. You need to put yourself out there to strangers, but your people that you know and love you they're your bread and butter. And I have tried really hard. I've for years wanted to make that my primary focus, and I've done little bits here and there, but never been super committed to like, this is where I want to get all of my business from. Obviously, I know I can't get all of it from there. I do Zillow and all that too, but this year has been a huge focus on me to keep up with those people, because this is an overshare maybe, but when I first started, I was always worried that after the sale, someone was going to be mad at me. Like something happened to the house, it broke, and now I'm not their friend anymore. And April can attest to this, because for years we didn't do a customer appreciation event because we were scared. Like, what if nobody comes? What if everybody, you know what I mean? Like, what are we going to hear when we do this? And we did it one day, and what we heard was, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And what we found is that that one day of the year when we hooked up with our past clients was magical. Like, that's the only word I can really use for it. So I've done a number of things, some of them that Terry mentioned, like reaching out and always being there if you know something is going, on in their lives. Facebook, Twitter, or not Twitter, because, well, anyway, Facebook, however your social media, whatever you connect with social, that's your main avenue, in my opinion, to start. Because when I let myself stray and don't do the 5, I'm looking and checking and making sure what people are up to, I lose track of who's pregnant, who had a baby, whose mother passed away. These are important events that we should know about, right? And so just as a caring person, it's helpful to me to keep up with what's going on in their lives and shoot a quick note or something like that. A couple other random things that I've done this year, we can maybe talk about it later, but video is a big thing for me. And the whole reason that I want to be on video is I want to be that front of mind. Like Terry said, you've got to be in front of them when they think about buying or selling a house. And I feel like that's been a really good avenue for me. But some of the other things I'm doing in case they're not a social media person is I have put everybody's annual anniversary, their house anniversary is what I call it, on my calendar. And they get a phone call if I think they want a phone call, or a text if they think they prefer a text, saying, wow, can you believe it's been 7 years today that you bought your house? Just another way to reach out to them that is very personal. They sometimes know and most times they don't know. So that's one. And then I'm doing a really cool birthday thing. None of you are my past clients, so you may not have seen it, but I actually went to the dollar store and got a couple of birthday hats and some birthday, like, woo, those things, I don't know what you call them. And I have been wishing people, particularly my past clients, or if a really super fun friend, I think will appreciate it. I put on my little hat and I go to their Facebook page and I do a video with me in the hat telling them happy birthday. So what that does is it not only makes them feel great that I didn't just shoot a happy birthday exclamation point, but I took the time to do a video. It also has my face in front of all of their friends. And I can't say exactly how much business I've gotten from video this year, but I can tell you that definitely a large portion of the calls I'm getting are they saw my video. And you never think that until someone calls you out and says, where were you? So once you start, don't stop.
Yeah, so I bring in probably half of my business from either referrals or social media, and the referrals are also kind of from social media. I grew up here, went to school here, went to college in Greenville, and a lot of the agents that I know either grew up here or went to college in Greenville, and so they have either moved to Myrtle Beach or moved to stayed in Greenville or moved wherever, and they send me business because they grew up here too, but they can't sell here. So make friends with other realtors that know people here that live elsewhere, because they're not going to drive 2 hours to Raleigh to sell a home when they live in Greenville. They're going to call you. So definitely nurture relationships with other realtors. Like you were saying with happy birthday, I have another colleague that she's not with EXP, we're just good friends and we like to network with each other. She's actually about to have her baby. So I've been sitting like, hey, like that, I'm pregnant as well. And so we've just had that really cool relationship. I mean, who's to say when she goes on maternity leave, even though as realtors don't really get that, but who's to say like when she's at home with the baby, somebody comes up that wants to sell a house in Holly Springs, she might call me. I mean, you just never know. Like, I think it's important to just have these like really good, genuine relationships, because that's just going to help your business too. Obviously you don't want to have the relationship because it's going to help your business, but like, I think just realtors that thrive with people, thrive with relationships are just going to have a better thriving business. Again, I do the 4H, what is it, 4Fs or something? Yeah. But it's like you wish everyone happy birthday on Facebook. You comment 5 people on Facebook, you 5 likes, message on Instagram likes, if you Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever it is, like just think of all the people that you can touch before 9 a.m. just from doing 5 of each thing. I think it ends up being like 40 or 45 people that you reach out to, 5 texts, 5 phone calls, like just at least 5 of every single thing you can think of, 5 handwritten cards, whether it's happy birthday, happy anniversary, if their dog just passed away. I mean, like my dog passed away last year and that was like really difficult. So whatever life stage someone's going through, like send them something. If somebody's having a baby, send them like a little baby book with a cute message inside. I mean, that's something they're going to keep for forever. So whatever life stage you can think of, any way to like talk to someone or check in on someone is just a huge deal, I think. But I also post very consistently on my Instagram stories. I feel like personally, in my social media experience, a lot of people check stories more than they check posts right now. It's just easier and it's at the top and very convenient for people. And I think it gives you a really good look of your everyday life. I'm heavier on Instagram than anything else. So any kind of like fun thing that happens with work, I put it on my stories. For example, the other day I had an appraisal come in $100,000 over what we're contracted for. So that was like a really, really great news. So I put it on there and other people are going to be like, holy crap, that's really good. When I go to buy a house, like I want to call her, I want to walk into my house with $100,000 of equity. And then the same day, my seller appraised at contract price. So it says, not only did I get my buyer a really great deal, I also sold my seller's house for a really great price too. So it's like capitalizing on that market and showing people what that actually means for them. Also showing them value on Instagram or Facebook or whatever your place is. Talk about rates, talk about, you know, I did this one segment on social media that was very like vocabulary. People don't know what due diligence means. People don't know what earnest money means. People think you're going to get your due diligence back and that ain't happening. So I think just like giving them value, being somewhere that they want to keep track of and want to follow you is just really great there. And then I do get new construction. That's kind of my niche that I did before the team. My husband's also a builder, so I'm very knowledgeable in that realm. So I also have just started really getting past clients. I actually sent my very first transaction ever. I sent them a card about a year ago and they called me like 2 months later, like, hey, we're so glad you sent us a card. We're actually thinking of moving now. It's been a couple years. Like, I don't know how I got so lucky that I just happened to send them a card at the right time, but thank God I did. And since then I've gotten a couple past clients as well. So I think it's really important to give your clients a really great experience because every single person that has a good experience is going to tell 1 or 2 or 3 people about you and they're going to send you business as well. So I think just doing a really good job and being passionate about your job will also bring you business as well.
Oh, you guys are all working on that sphere, huh? I never put my eggs all in one basket. That's something I learned early on, not to try and do that. What we do for leads, I know a lot of you are not going to like this, but my #1 lead source is open houses. And I have the best rate of return on that open house. So I go out on Saturdays and Sundays at new construction. You would not believe the amount of unrepresented people who are coming through open houses. And it doesn't have to be your listing. It could be somebody else's. You just reach out to somebody who has new construction, ask, hey, do you have any availability where I can sit them? And you'd be surprised how easy it is to convert those unrepresented buyers that walk through. We do realtor.com, KV Core, Facebook leads. I also really like doing pop buys and referrals. Every fall, we take a little scarecrow from the little tiny guys from the Dollar Tree, put them in a mum, put our cards on it and drop it off at our top 10 clients that sold or that bought. We try to go like 2 years out and look at 10 people that close 2 years out, because those are the ones that are going to be most likely that need to be touched. So we'll go in and we'll drop off that little pop by. And then at the end of every year, whoever bought that year gets something at Christmas. And then we try to do just anytime the seasons change, we try to do some type of pop by. And just doing those online referrals, leads. I really wanted to do YouTube and video, but I got too busy and I kind of stopped doing it. So I need to restart that. It's gonna happen.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
You brought something to mind that maybe, or I forgot something. When I started, I didn't know anybody in the area where I was living. I had only lived there for a couple of years, maybe a year or 2. And I, for a long time, blamed my lack of business on the fact that I didn't grow up here and I didn't know anybody. And I didn't have those ready-made connections like Blair does, like April did. I don't know if any of you are in that situation, but what I can tell you is I've got that now because I've put myself out there, and every person you meet ever in your entire life from here on forward, as long as you have a license, should know you're in real estate. Some way or another, you have to kind of get that out to people to where when they do think of real estate, they think of you automatically. They may not ever buy from you, but they may know someone who might be buying. So your name tag, a hat, a shirt, whatever it is that makes you comfortable out in the public, it's always gonna spark a conversation. It might even be something as simple as, how's the market? Right, we don't wanna talk about that right now, no. But anyway,
I
so.
like wearing t-shirts that say I'm a realtor on it of some way.
Yeah, even
It's-
just get yourself some fun shirts or something if you want to. That's what I did in the beginning. I haven't worn them in a while, but like one said real estate chick, because I used to have a bunch of chickens, and then underneath it, it said got referrals. I just bought a new one that I think is really cute. Can I share it? It says,
Yeah.
can I share it? It says, the only BS I need are buyers and sellers.
Yes, perfect.
So
Like-
get some fun ones if you want to, so that when you're not really necessarily in a work, garb, work outfit, you're at least letting the public know that what you do for a living, and
What
it
do
helps
they-
to
what do
grow
they
that
say?
spirit.
Don't be a hidden agent. What is-
Yeah, no secret.
Yeah, there's no
agents.
secret agents in real estate.
Yeah.
I would say I struggled too in the beginning with a lot of people said, work your sphere. And I was just like, what is my sphere?
Mhm.
And I'm just thinking like, when I started, I was early 20s. Everyone that I knew was either married and just having a baby, not ready to buy a house yet, still lived at home with their parents, or it was my family. And I didn't think my family would want to work with me. I'll tell you that the minute that I realized that everybody was my sphere,
Everybody.
everything changed.
Mhm.
Because I've sold all of my friends and family's houses. I've sold my mom's houses. My sister's a real estate agent and I sold her house. Like, you've got to be there. And I would say that one of the other things too, that a lot of people don't think of is I did get a lot of my business early on from sitting at the office. Back
Same.
when that was a thing.
Mhm.
And you would just get those leftovers from those top producing agents that just didn't have time. And I would say that's still relevant. Surround yourself with top producers and be present, ask them questions, be hungry. And if that agent notices you, they're going to chuck some leads your way.
That's right.
And that's probably one of the easiest ways I would say to get a lead outside of calling just your friends and family. Got a lot of business that way. What's next?
What is the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
What's your biggest challenge?
Who wants to go?
Well, I think for me, moving here from a completely different area, not knowing anybody, not knowing the area. If I go show a house and somebody says, where's the closest grocery store? Hang on, let me Google that. And it was just spending the time trying to really orient myself. The first house I sold here was $43,000 in Kinley. In
She didn't even know
Kinley.
what Kinley
I
was.
couldn't even buy my gas on this transaction, but, it was, I had to do what I had to do to get myself going. And then I got to the point, I had to learn work-life balance. Because you're never gonna be motivated if you're burned out. You've got to find that space to where you go, okay, I'm having dinner right now, and I don't care who calls, there's no real estate emergency that needs to pull me away from my family and dinner. I go to church on Sunday. My phone does not go with me in church. Nobody needs me more than Jesus does, and there's nobody I need more than I need Jesus. So I don't need a phone with me for that. I mean, and it's just, there's times that I feel like everybody goes through where you're tired. You just feel like you have nothing else to bring to the table. I'm exhausted. And it's okay to unplug. I went last week and I had messaged April and I'm like, I need some mental health days. I mean, it was just a hard week. I really didn't know, there was nothing in particular, but I was just not in a position where I felt like I could benefit anybody. So it's okay to unplug. So, for me, it was the hustle of I've got to figure this stuff out and be able to help my clients. And then there's the balance of staying in the wheelhouse where you still got family time, but you're representing your clients the best that you can. And you've got to be mentally in the right place to do those things, or you're not good to your family or your clients. So for me, that was a big thing. And I think I finally got it mastered. So
Would you say it's in part with your support system that you have that's allowed you to do that?
absolutely. I mean, Marty is amazing. He knows when I'm on the edge of the edge, and he told me last week, he's like, why don't you go home for a few days? Time moves a little slower in Columbus County than Wake County. So, you know, and it's great that he's that way, and, you know, he's here working, so I'm blessed to be able to do that. So absolutely has a lot to do with it, Tim.
Tracy?
Well, I think there's a lot of challenges. I don't know that I can put my finger on the biggest obstacle, because I feel like we're faced with obstacles all the time. And so if I can say one thing that I have tried my best to do and it works, it's just deal with it. Just do it. Whatever is hard and you don't feel like doing it, sticking your head in the sand isn't going to make it go away. So you just have to do it. And there's a book by Mel Robbins called The 5-Second Rule. And I haven't actually read the book, but we were fortunate enough to see her at the RE/MAX conference several years ago, and she spoke on the 5-second rule. And basically, within 5 seconds, you have the ability to talk yourself out of whatever it is you want to do. If you give yourself, if you let it go more than 5 seconds, the thought pops into my head, oh, I have to call Grumpy Sue. And then I would give myself 5 seconds, I'm gonna put it off, because you justify it of why you can't do it now. What's the reason you're not gonna? But if you catch it in that 5 seconds and just do it, this has happened to me so many times lately where there's been something that I have frankly not wanted to deal with. I just didn't feel like handling it. I didn't know if I had the energy. I was scared of what the result was, because probably my biggest fear is fear of rejection. But when I just sat down and I said, just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're no worse off than you are right this second, right? You're not, because I'm not going to break what's broken by trying to fix it. So just do it. For God's sakes, don't stick your head in the sand, because that doesn't help anybody, including yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I can't think of like one particular challenge that's worse than the others, but I will say like each stage of real estate has presented its own challenge. Like when I first started, I was broke. I went into real estate with no savings. Don't recommend that. And then went as general brokerage for like a few months, and then realized that I'm not making any money. So then I went into new construction. My neighborhood got delayed like 6 months. So then it still made no money. So like basically I went a year and sold 2 houses, which does not pay your bills. So I will say like the first part of real estate just like really sucks if you don't have, you know, a husband that's working, or don't have a family that's willing to support you, or not willing, but can't support you, or won't, or whatever. It's just really tough. So I highly recommend having savings, part-time job, something if you're just starting out. And then now I feel like my challenge is, well, not now, but a few months ago with this crazy buyer's market, I got very burnt out. So since then I've learned definitely to take a vacation, spend time with my husband. I've definitely like detached a little bit and created more of a line between work and life balance. So I feel like whatever challenge you're in that present moment, just find that solution and fix it. Obviously there will always be transactional issues that come up. Like yesterday, we found out our closing that's supposed to be tomorrow got delayed 3 weeks, which was not okay. So I handled it. So I think just taking that 5-second funeral, being mad about it for a second, and then finding that solution. Because if you wallow in your pity in real estate, you will literally hate your career. Like you will be miserable forever.
Yeah.
I mean, our job is basically solving problems. So know that the problem's going to come, try to anticipate the problem before it comes. Like if you right now, I think when we go on listing appointments, we really need to set expectations that we're not in that like getting 70 offers with $80,000 over list price. So I think setting the expectation and maybe hurting their feelings a little bit with the price that you're thinking is probably gonna, you know, solve a future problem with setting these expectations, and then them being heartbroken that they're not getting some crazy wild coming soon $60,000 over offer. So I think anticipating problems and solving them, kind of preventing them and solving them before they even happen. I also feel like in other transactional issues, call with some sort of good news as well as the bad news helps. Let's say like a buyer on your listing is terminating. Okay, we'll go back and call every other agent, see if any of their offers are still on the table, because if the buyer terminates, but you already have an offer that you're kind of working on, when you call your seller and say, hey, this one's terminating, but I already got one in the works, they're going to be a lot happier and a lot more relaxed instead of just going through that panic. So solve the problems, 5-second funeral, and move on.
You guys are really out there today, huh?
Out there, you don't like what we say today?
No, I'm just, it's making my brain spin. It's like, as each one of you talk,
I'm
my
learning from every one
answer
of
was
you, so
changing
this is
since I'm
great.
at the last. So my hardest thing that I've experienced in real estate and how to overcome it. Just like you guys, I don't think that there's one particular thing, but I would say I've struggled a lot with the same thing, getting burnt out and just working 24/7 and not knowing when to shut it off and not being able to walk away from my phone. My husband gets very mad at me when I'm looking down at my phone, even if I'm not responding to anything. And he's just like, I want us time. And I have finally gotten to that point in my life where I've found that do not disturb button. And I use it after 9 o'clock. I may have my phone in my hand, but it's in do not disturb. So I'm not actively looking at it that much. I'm a very proactive person. So I want to see when something comes through, I want to be able to handle it immediately. That being said, being a proactive person can also mean that you're reactive. And that is something I struggled with when I first started in real estate, is that I was very emotional and everything was, I cared for my clients and I wanted to respond like I cared for my clients. So that was something that I had to overcome. And the way that I overcame that was I stopped responding right away. So if something comes through and somebody is clearly having an emotional crisis in their email, it's 17 paragraphs. They're very matter-of-facty, kind of snippy or rude. I don't respond right away.
That's great advice, Timothy. Just take a
I
breath.
wait.
Take a breath, because they're gonna take a breath too, right? Eventually,
Yes.
9 times out of 10, they work it out themselves and they come back and apologize when they realize what they did.
Absolutely. And when I do respond, if I'm concerned that I might have some emotions in it, I send that email to somebody else and I just say, hey, does this seem like it's, because I want to be factual when I respond to things. I try to take all of that emotion out. And that's very hard because this is an emotional process for everybody involved. And you get very attached to your clients. They become your best friends and they're looking at you and they're like, why isn't this happening? And it's very hard to not project that onto the other agent. And you've got to be very careful on that. So I would say that was something that I learned very quickly, very early on. So overcame it. Still struggled.
No, what you say that
Way
about
more
emotions, and honestly, your clients and the other agent, well, the other agent to an extent, you have to sometimes get a little tense with them. Hopefully not, but you have to maintain your calm in front of your clients, because if you talk to them for 1 second when you're stressed about whatever's happening, they're going to feel it.
Yep.
And it's going to turn things sour because they're dreading now what you're dreading. That's our job, is to dread it for them.
Try not to share that panic.
Right.
What questions do y'all have for the panel? Y'all have any?
Come on, somebody's got a question. Yeah, crickets. Have you guys had your coffee this morning?
Bojangles, did everybody have Bojangles?
I know Tracy mentioned Mel Robbins, the book, The 5-Second Rule. What books that have helped you build your business or inspired you, or just what books are out there?
Oh, this is quick. I don't read books.
I was gonna say the same thing, Terry. I swear if it got to you, I was gonna say, I don't really read. I just saw Mel Robbins at a conference and she was great.
Oh, you didn't read the book? No, I thought you read the book.
I don't, yeah, I read the Bible, that's
So,
it. No
right.
other-
Why don't you ask April?
Trying, everybody.
Her favorite books. April's got books and Blair has books.
Okay.
Timothy, I don't know about
No,
you.
Timothy doesn't. Timothy has Lana and
No
Lana has
need to
books.
suck it up with your reading. It's very good. Reading is so great for you.
Okay, Blair, what books are out there? There's Atomic Habits. What are
So I have read that one as well. I am currently reading Brendan Burchard. It's
Yes.
High Performance Habits.
Love that. Love that.
And I feel like it's honestly beneficial in your social, financial, whatever world you're in. Even like working out. Like I think that just like all the little great habits like reading are just very beneficial. Very beneficial. Like if you work out in the morning, I think it just gets your head in the right space. If you, eat healthy, like I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I like trying to be good at like every little thing. So I like the high performance habits. It kind of fits well with my personality.
Yeah, Brendan for sure.
No books for
Timothy,
me.
no books?
No,
books
no,
for
no.
you?
Lana is the one that reads the books and then tells me what I need to know about them. I don't have that mind of like, I can't read something and then be excited about it. Like, someone needs to tell me about it. And then if I have excitement, then like, if there's a really exciting article on due diligence, like I want to read it, but motivational stuff doesn't inspire me like it does most people.
One of my favorite ones, and it's the one that the Freedom Builders is doing right now, is Miracle Morning for the Real Estate Agent. That was a game changer for me, coming out of the recession, because it talked about a guy who I felt like I was literally in the same headspace. Just, we have beat our head up against the wall for so many years, and granted, I came out more successful than I went into the recession. It was still like just top burnout for me. And I never had a morning routine before then. I felt like I flew. Now, I've always been an office bug, and Timothy, we try to beat each other to the office every day. But Tracy will tell that with me for years. I have to get up, I have to get dressed, I have to go to the office. Like, that makes me more productive. But once I realized that I could actually create a routine for myself that gave me my headspace back in the morning, was a game changer. And you don't do you don't have to do everything. Meditating is really hard for me. My brain just goes on and on and on. And that's the point of meditating. I get it, but there's some things that I was able to put into place that just really helped me. It changed my focus, and it really propelled my productivity just by taking that hour in the morning and creating a routine. And you don't have to follow that routine. It's a very good one, but find one that works for you.
What's your routine?
Well, get up, do my devotions first thing. The biggest advice I have is don't check your phone first thing, which I'm really bad about. I also try to be Holly in my email, because I encourage that. So don't check your phone and social media as soon as you wake up.
You
do
also
some-
work out in the mornings too.
a lot of times. I can't say that I'm perfect at it, but working out doesn't have to be like working with a trainer. I did well with that for a while, but time hasn't allowed me that. But if you just take a walk, just do something to get your body moving first thing in the morning. But I start my day every day in my devotions and just a little bit of me time. I was doing like the 5 a.m. club. I hated it. My coach was like, "Why are you getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning?" I was like, "Because productive people do." And she's like, "You're already productive. What else?" And I was like, "You're right. I hate getting up at 5 o'clock." So I moved it to 6. Like, don't do things that you don't necessarily want to do just because everybody else says it makes them productive. So find the things that make you happy first thing in the morning. So
Oh, back to books, 1,000, what is it, the one you gave us, that's read,
1,000 Little Things.
1,000 Little Things That Happy, Successful People Do. I like that. And it's like a good quick read to keep in your car if you're like early for a showing or something, because it's like by paragraph, not necessarily by like chapter. So it's just like a good little snippet that gives you like some happy thoughts.
Anybody online have any questions?
You guys all seem to be somewhat introverted, but how do you perceive yourselves?
I feel like I'm an introverted extrovert or
Yeah.
whatever that thing is, opposite maybe. I
You're
don't know.
Introverted? Oh, I would not call myself
I would not call
introverted.
Tracy introvert.
No, I must be coming across all wrong. here. That's not me.
It's me. It's me.
Yeah, I like to go. I like to do. Actually, I talk way too much. So I don't claim the introverted extrovert.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
You are too.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just weird.
when I'm getting paid to talk to people and to engage with them, I'm a completely different person than like you set me in like the EXPCon stuff. If there's nobody else there that I know, I'm a wallflower. I'm not going out and introducing myself to random people.
Oh,
That
I'm
that is
very
something I've
social.
always struggled
Very,
with.
very social.
But real estate's different though, because I feel like I have to be.
It's like work mode.
Yeah,
put like
I-
a face on.
it's different. I'm excited about real estate. I want to talk about it, so I'm happy to do that. But like you put me in a social setting.
I mean, like I've always said, if you invite me to your house, I'm not gonna talk to anybody there and I'm spoken to, but if you invite me to a networking event, I'm gonna make my way around the room.
When we went to Tennessee, when we went to that convention in Tennessee last year, I was like, okay, this is 3 days of like complete overstimulation, so much talking. And I literally was like a hermit for 2 days after when I got
Really?
back. So I feel like I can be really good temporarily, but then it's like at some point I'm just gonna like shut down and hide.
You need to decompress. for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. We have a question from somebody in the chat. It said, what was your most recent system you implemented and how did it help your business? It's a hard one.
Mine's my spreadsheets. I love my spreadsheets.
Mine's probably with my videos. I started doing my videos. I do something called Fun Fact Friday,
Mhm.
and it's every Friday. But if I
Where's the
wait
poop
till
hat?
Friday, then it's,
The poop hat.
Poop hat's great. But I found if I wait till Friday, I'm scrambling and I'm not enjoying it. So I've got a long ways to go because I want to do a lot more video. But I've decided that I'm going to time block a day of the week on Thursdays. I'd like to move it sooner, but anyway, So that I'm doing several in one day, and then we can edit them throughout the week and post them at different times. Because if you try to do a video a day, it's gonna wear you out.
Yeah, I feel like minus my spreadsheets, I feel like it helps with goal setting a lot. Like last year I sold 28 homes. For some people, that might be enough. For me, I want more. Like how can, I mean, there was probably a day was like, okay, I'm fine with this for the rest of my life, 28 homes. I can, that's fine, whatever. But I don't want to get in that mindset of like that being enough. So for me, I set a goal every single year, one transactional and then one more financial. So like, we bought our investment property last year. So I basically said, okay, how much % do we need down? And then divided that over the average sales price of the home and said, okay, I have to sell this many homes to hit my goal. I think it's really important to not be complacent and always like keep wanting more, or else you're just going to kind of stay stagnant. And I think in real estate, if you ever want to grow a team or want to go independent or want whatever it is your goal is, I think it's just goal setting is just really important.
I agree 1,000%.
Yeah, me too.
I think it just keeps you from standing still and being okay with whatever mediocre is to you.
I would say prior to coming to EXP, I had never goal set
Yeah.
before. And that first time that April brought us in with Ruben and did that goal setting, my mind was blown because I'm sitting here looking at it as I wanted to make a certain dollar amount every year and I wasn't getting there. I was getting, you kind of get complacent. Like you said, you do your 10 deals a year and then you get to that point where you're so busy and they're all happening at the same time that you stopped prospecting and then you have that lull. So goal setting is what really opened my eyes.
I had
to
that in my notes
point,
to talk about too, yeah.
because you get in that roller coaster and you get cocky and then you're
You get so
broke.
busy that you, at the end of the day, you're tired. You're too tired to take those, make those phone calls to put the next thing in your pipeline. And that's tough because it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back on you. You've got to keep moving. Even when you're busy, you've got to go out. Even if your next transaction isn't closing for 60 days, you got to find the one that's gonna close in 90 because we're always chasing that next deal.
You've got to constantly be doing that. I think that was it. We're time, y'all. So thank you for everybody who came on Zoom and everyone in person.
Thank y'all. Thank you, panel.
All right.
When you guys were